I know it's hard, I know it's complicated, but I promised you I've been waiting here forever. I had a much to say, but you're not hear me. No, we're invincible, like fire in the snow. Trust me when I say you are my beautiful world, and I'm feeling it all. We should make an effort. It's true you're so far away, and it's true you don't feel the same. But if you take my hand, we can try and go back. Start it from scratch. I won't let you go. No, I can't let you go. 'Cause you're my gravity, and I will never leave. I won't let you go. No, baby, I will not. Because I still believe. You're my gravity. You will never be what I expected. Different frequencies, that's why we ain't connected. You know I will make it through. I got nothing to lose but you. It's true you're so far away, and it's true I can feel the same. It's another day, you know you want me to stay, but I go my way. I won't let you go. No, I can't let you go. 'Cause you're my gravity, and I will never leave. I won't let you go. No, baby, I will not. Because I still believe. You're my gravity. You're my gravity. You're calling out my name, but the echo numbs your pain. Sorry, but more than just a shadow, I'm more than just a man. You don't care how I feel, you don't know how I feel. No, you don't know how. I wash away the sorrow till my heart can beat again. You're my gravity. No, you're my gravity. I will let you go. The only thing that I know, you were my gravity, but now I have to leave. I will let you go. What do you think that I want? What do you think that I want? I know how to breathe. It's my gravity. 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 I know it's hard, I know it's complicated, but I promised you I've been waiting here forever. I had a much to say, but you're not hear me. No, we're invincible, like fire in the snow. Trust me when I say you are my beautiful world, and I'm feeling it all. We should make an effort. It's true you're so far away, and it's true you don't feel the same. But if you take my hand, we can try and go back. Start it from scratch. I won't let you go. No, I can't let you go. 'Cause you're my gravity, and I will never leave. I won't let you go. No, baby, I will not.
Warning: the Duracell Cup Series data file you have attempted to access is out of date. Uploading current file now.
It's a brand new car from stem to stern, and it's never been raced at these speeds.
The next gen car is opportunity.
Everything is different with the exception of like the seat, the steering wheel, and your helmet.
Unknown creates excitement.
Talking about my generation.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome here as we get set for the 18th race of the second season of the NNSCRA Duracell Ultra Lite Series. 3 races remain until our regular season comes to a close. 10 drivers will be in the hunt for the championship, 7 through points, 3 through wildcard spots, most likely through trips to victory lane. And we get ready to kick off here our final road course race of the regular season here on the Lite side as we are in upstate New York at Watkins Glen International. Getting ready for 32 laps of racing here this afternoon. We have a Cup Series driver on the pole, our 4th Cup driver to actually capture a Lite Series pole this season, the latest now being Eric Sadler in the All-Star car out of Bishop Family Racing. He's going to be alongside of Autumn Brooks. Autumn starting top 5 in the Cup Series race here tomorrow afternoon. She nabs the outside of the front row here. Now, Autumn Brooks is running full-time here in the Lite Series, so we can highlight her positioning in the point standings. For Eric, he's just looking for a victory here today, trying to be the first Cup driver to get a Lite Series win, plus trying to get some extra track time for tomorrow afternoon's Cup Series race, where he's running for the championship. But Autumn comes in as 11th in the point standings. She is currently, if my calculations quickly are correct, 19 points below that 7th in the standings cut line, and good starting track position could pick up her first Lite Series victory here today. Back in row 2, it's going to be Brody Kupski, another driver looking to put a 1 in the win column. He's seen his teammate Dave Smith go to victory lane earlier on this season at Lucas Oil. Brody will be on the inside of row number 2 alongside of Craig Batson. Now, Craig Batson comes into this race the lowest in the point standings with a victory. He is eligible for a wild card spot, but remember, he didn't make his first start of the season until Pocono. 3 races had already been run, so he has been at a points deficit to everybody else that's running full time pretty much since the word go. He needs a second victory to leapfrog all the one-time winners, which we'll talk about all of them in just a moment. But all those one-time winners, if he gets a second win, he leapfrogs all of them. He jumps to the number 1 wild card seed. Good starting track position here today for him. His teammate Cat Batson as well. Solid qualifying effort in 5th. So the KB Racing Enterprises Fords look pretty good here, at least in the early going. But the question is going to be, is track position going to be all that important? Normally, when we talk about a road course, it's key. It's prime. You start at the front, you've got a good chance of finishing up at the front. But we've also seen, particularly here at Watkins Glen in the past on the Cup side, we have seen strategy come into play, and drivers that we don't talk about in the top 10 all day long somehow find their way from mid-pack rear of the field up to the front, have enough fuel maybe on a long green flag run to be able to get to the checkered flag and snipe the victory away from the dominant cars of the afternoon. Will we see that again here today? We will have to wait and find out. Let's go down track side. Let's get those most famous words in motorsports because we're ready to go road course racing here at Watkins Glen International.
Drivers, start your engines!
Lower right-hand side of your screen, you'll see your starting lineup. 30 drivers going to be taking the green flag here this afternoon. Only 3 races remain until we put the playoff grid officially together. And right now, if we were to go off of the results of our last race at Homestead, this is what that playoff grid would currently look like. Your points leader coming into this one, Roberto Crown Jr., 19 points in hand over Cam Wright Jr., and neither one of them are starting all that well in this field. Roberto Crown Jr. starting back in 23rd, Cam Wright Jr. in 25th. Colin Grace is 3rd in points, 33 points out of the points lead. Kyle Langland in 4th. Langland is 39 points back, and 42 points back in 5th is Eli Bright. Keep an eye on him. He had a strong car back at our last road course stop here for the Lights drivers at Sonoma. Probably should have won that race, but got hit hard with a pit road penalty. David Dixon right now is 6th in points. Jordan Anderson in 7th. Right now would be the last driver in on points. Your wildcard drivers right now would be Aubrey Powell, who is 8th in overall points with a victory. Cody Majorek, 10th in points with a victory, is in the second wildcard spot. And Juan Garcia, who is 12th in the overall standings with a victory. He is in the final wildcard position, but only 2 points over Nathan Stapleton, 3 points over Skylar Taylor, 10 points over Wes McCoy, and 12 points over Michael Turner, who are going to be 13th through 16th in the standings, respectively, coming into this one. So things really, really tight for that final wildcard spot. And again, as I said, them, along with some other drivers, including Dave Smith, Cole Coybe, Nathan Fogler, and Craig Batson, if any of them go to victory lane here this afternoon, that'd be their second victory on the season, and it would springboard them up to a high-seeded wild card position. We've run 17 races so far this season. 16 different drivers have gone to victory lane. Cam Wright Jr. is the only driver who has found victory lane multiple times here in Season 2. Mention the fact we've had 4 Cup Series regulars capture pole positions here in the Light Series this season. We've yet to have one go to victory lane. Eric Sadler looked to change that today as green flag's in the air, and we're racing at the Glen. And Autumn Brooks is going to swing around the outside, and she will take the top position, exiting out of the hard right-hand turn 1. Craig Batson will move to 2nd. Sadler, the pole sitter, drifts back to the 3rd position. Brody Kupski, Eli Bright going to be the top 5 as they make their way down the straightaway out of the S's. Head for the very crucial bus stop, chicane, whatever you'd like to call it back here. Some people call it the boot. Everybody organized single file making their way through there. As Craig Batson pushes up a little bit in the carousel, opens up the door. Eric Sadler going to try and look to driver's right. Brody Kupski taking a peek there as well. Sadler cannot make the move. Kupski under fire. That's going to be for 4th place. Eli Bright will pull up to the left side as they make their way out of turn 7. Bright going to have a nice run here out of that corner. Down the front straightaway, he might clear and move into that 4th position. Nice setup, nice pass there for the driver of the 20. Cat Batson now putting the pressure on Brody Kupski for the 5th position as Autumn Brooks continues to pace the field about 3-4 car lengths back to Craig Batson. Checking back on that Infineon race that I was talking about, Eli Bright ended up leading 14 laps in that race. He was able to at least bounce back for a top 10 run in 9th. Roberto Crown Jr., his Trackhouse teammate, would actually go on to win that race. But as I said, the strongest car of the day did not win in Eli Bright. And it looks like he's got maybe just the exact same car that they brought to Sonoma here this week at Watkins Glen, as he's now putting the pressure on Eric Sadler for the 3rd spot. Good battling further back here. That is Ralph Mason trying to make his way by Bryce Egan. Michael Turner just behind as well in the 0-2. This is around the 11th position. Bryce Egan and Autumn Brooks, the 2 drivers that were the non-charter entries to lock themselves into the Cup Series race here tomorrow afternoon. Bryce in that all-star car out of Trackhouse Racing this week. And there is Juan Garcia in the 19, coming into this one holding the final wildcard spot as points are scored right now. Trying to keep himself ahead of drivers like Stapleton, Taylor, McCoy, and Turner. Currently solidly inside of the top 10, just ahead of Daniel Voiles in P7. Colin Grace, 33 points out of the points lead. We documented the fact that neither of the top two in points had a good qualifying effort here this week, both starting outside of the top 20. Colin Grace with an opportunity here this afternoon. If neither the 18 nor the 95 can gain track position during the course of this race to close up that gap, maybe make it a 3-driver fight for the regular season championship with 2 races remaining at Hanford and Auto Club. The regular season championship, so important. 15 bonus points are paid out to the driver that is top of the standings at the conclusion of the regular season. Craig Batson has closed up on Autumn Brooks. Was right on the back bumper of the Ghost Mazda as they made their way down through the heavy braking zone of turn 1. Comparison of lap times there. Autumn Brooks a 1:15.5. Craig Batson and Eric Sadler behind him 1:15.2s. So that shows how they were visibly able to close up. The fastest car on the track on that previous lap there was actually Brody Kupski at a 1:14.9. Craig Batson going to lose ground there through the carousel. Again, we saw this on the initial lap as well. Pushing up just a little bit there through the carousel. It's a temperamental corner here that maybe not a lot of people pay too much mind to. They kind of view it as a sweeping banked corner that you can probably run full throttle. That's not the case. You are half throttling that car and you are waiting until you can finally push the pedal down all the way to get that run off of turn 5. And if you do it just a little too soon, as we saw there for Craig Batson, pushes you up just a little bit out of the groove, starts to wear on that left front tire. And as we saw, visibly opens up space between you and the driver that you're trying to run down if they hit that corner correctly. So Craig Batson going to have to try and wind the rubber band up again and close back up on Autumn Brooks, who so far has led the first 4 laps of this race. Mention about the fact that Eric Sadler, the 4th Cup Series driver to capture a pole position here this season in the Lite Series. 2nd time that the 16 car has been able to do it. RJ Bishop did it in this machine formerly this season. Other 2 drivers that have started from the pole, Cup Series regulars, included Bryce Egan. That was just a couple of weeks ago. And then Anthony McCurry, who's actually going to be starting from the pole for our Cup race here tomorrow afternoon as well. Let's ride on board with the 20 of Eli Bright and see what it's like to make a lap here at Watkins Glen. One cool thing about Watkins Glen now is, especially off the exit of turn 6 and that right-hander you just saw them make of turn 1, there is that paved runoff area now for drivers to be able to gather up their cars if they overshoot the corner. We've also got some runoff there as well coming out of the carousel that we saw Eric Sadler utilize when we were on board with Eli Bright. So opportunity for drivers to be able to get maybe a little bit more speed with the runoff areas on corner exit, but also be able to have an opportunity of not going off course if indeed they mess up the exit of a particular turn. A couple of things I observed there watching the gearing as we were on board with Eli Bright. A lot of drivers like downshifting to second gear when they get to the bus stop on the backstretch. But Eli only went down to third gear and then making his way into the heavy left to right of 6 to 7. He went down to second gear, upshifted to third as he made his way out of 7, and then down here in turn 1 went down to second gear as well. So interesting that they don't go down to second gear over at the exit of the bus stop. Try and maybe get a little bit more rear grip when they get ready to approach the carousel. Cat Batson, we talked about the KB Racing Enterprises cars, a couple of them qualifying really well here for this weekend's race. The only one that seemed to struggle in qualifying was Jackson Haywood. He ended up qualifying back in the final row. But both the 91 and the 39 putting down good lap times. Cat Batson coming into this race 19th in points. You know, there are some drivers that have yet to go to victory lane this season that if they win now, get some decent points in the next 2 races or a second victory, they're still not out of the conversation of possibly being in this season's playoffs. You look at, we mentioned Autumn Brooks, Jackson Haywood, Sean Galligan, Cat Batson, Chris Dollerton, Ralph Mason, Brody Kupski. These drivers, they still have a chance. Now, granted, a lot of their chance opportunity relies on them finding victory lane more than likely twice in these last 3 races, but the statistics, the probability, it's still there. Speaking of Mason and Dollerton, they are right now in the 10th and 11th spots. Mason there in the 66, right behind him, the Shell Pennzoil number 40 of Chris Dollerton. It looks like both the Michael Norman Motorsports cars nose to tail there, 11th and 12th, with Michael Turner, our winner from Las Vegas earlier on this season, just behind. Some battling here through the carousel. Eli Bright got to the inside of Eric Sadler. Cat Batson tried to make the move on Brody Kupski, unsuccessful. Bright tries to stay alongside of Sadler here. Sadler rides up on the curb, and Eli Bright's going to move into the 3rd spot. He's going to wad them up, too, from 4th place on back. Here comes Brody Kupski with a look. As now Eli Bright will try and set his sights on running down the top 2. Sadler will drift back into 4th. Cat Batson hangs on to 5th, and Kupski will slot back in line in the 6th position. Cat and mouse game been going up in here at the front. Craig Batson keeps closing up the gap, and then Autumn Brooks the following lap opens it back up. She's not been able to get away from Craig though. One mistake and Batson will be right there to capitalize. And now it comes into the question of what's the fuel window for these drivers? This is going to be interesting because a little behind the scenes, people may not actually realize this, but this is going to be the first week where there is actually a physics change on the Cup side. For these first, what will it end up being, 22 races for the Cup Series drivers, we have run with PTA physics. There has been a physics change that's going to be taking place starting this weekend here at Watkins Glen, where the Cup drivers will be running CTS physics, same as the Lights drivers. So now, as we've kind of questioned week after week what we knew the fuel window was for the Lights drivers and how it was going to correlate to the Cup drivers, we will now have an accurate reading if we have long green flag runs on the Lights side in these doubleheaders as to what the fuel window is going to be on the Cup side. So for these Lights drivers here this afternoon, with their 32-lap event, they obviously would be targeting somewhere around lap 16 to be able to make it that far for it only to be a one-stop race. Tomorrow afternoon's Cup Series race, however, is going to be an extra 9 laps, 41 laps in total. So if these drivers can make it, that 16 laps on fuel for a one-stopper, that means it would be a two-stopper for the Cup drivers in tomorrow afternoon's main event race. Let's drop back a little bit further again as maybe a potential battle here. Nope, not quite. Cap Batson showed the nose, drove it deep there on the inside of turn 6. But got the left sides up on the curbing, had to back out of it. And now Brody Kupski will actually look to driver's right down the front straightaway to try and take that spot. Can't do it. Well, Colin Grace, third in points, is currently scored in the 8th position. Let's find out where the top 2 in points are currently at. Roberta Crown Jr., Cam Wright Jr. started 23rd and 25th. Has any progress been made for either of those drivers? For Roberta Crown Jr., the answer is no. Started 23rd, and he remains in 23rd. For Cam Wright Jr., though, he has picked up some spots since the drop of the green flag. Up 5 from where he rolled off the grid, currently in the 20th position. Roberta Crown Jr. was 19 points ahead of Cam coming into this race, so right now only 3 position difference between those two, which means Cam Wright Jr. would close up to 16 points between himself and Roberta Crown Jr. heading into next week. But again, with both these drivers currently running 20th or worse, and Colin Grace run up inside of the top 10, Colin Grace could close that points gap up as well. A couple of drivers way back here. Don't see any visible damage, but there are some stragglers. As Wes McCoy and Jackson Haywood right now 25th and 26th. I'm trying to look at them, see if there is any damage or anything. I don't see anything on either of those cars. They may have had maybe an off-track moment, might have gotten held up by somebody that had a moment. Cole Coiby way back here, a former winner on the season at Manassas. David Dixon back here as well in the 28th spot, and Nick Gunther. Was really expecting this car, this team, to find something this week in this All-Star car at Garage 55, maybe set the tone for the other Garage 55 cars. That's not been the case. Qualified poorly in 28th, back now in the 29th position, way back from the rest of the field. And Bryce Egan, one of the drivers that's going to be pulling the double here this weekend, right now is running last car on the racetrack. And maybe the most depressing thing there for Bryce Egan, that last time by he just ran his fastest lap of the race, which was a 1:15.1. So that car, I almost wonder if maybe something mechanical is going on with that machine, maybe down a cylinder or something. Being a road course, though, unless you are majorly off the pace, your chances of going a lap down are pretty slim. Unless we end up having to cycle a green flag pit stops, then the field gets spread out enough that maybe, just maybe, traffic could come into play for the race leader. But Bryce Egan right now about nearly half a racetrack ahead of the race leader, Autumn Brooks. Autumn has led all 13 completed laps so far. Looking at lap times here. Right now, Eli Bright is the fastest of the top 3. The slowest is second place Craig Batson. So the battle for second may heat up quicker than the battle for the top position, as we had a car right through the dirt there, through the bus stop. That was Juan Garcia. I believe he was battling with Colin Grace for that 7th spot. Grace had to back out of it and may pay a price as Daniel Voiles looks to swing around the outside and will do so. Voiles will now move into 8th. And Chris Dollerton now looking low for 9th as they make their way into turn 6, but gets up there on that curbing. Ralph Mason now looking to the inside as they make their way out of 7. Mike Michael Turner will stay right behind his teammates, so they may be able to freight train the 66 down the front stretch. Headed into turn 1, Dollerton will clear. Mason will stay to the inside of Turner. And Turner's going to clear for the spot as well, so Mason will lose a couple of positions trying to advance in the running order. Cat Batson going to be double wide here between the 39 and the 16 down into the chicane. Who's going to lift? Eric Sadler going to get a better launch on the exit. Batson looks to hold Brody Kupski off, who was trying to take advantage. It's a three-way battle for the 4th spot. That last time by Autumn Brooks, the slowest of the top 3. Batson a little quicker, Eli Bright faster than the both of them. And Autumn Brooks is going to come around, hit the stripe for lap 15's completion, lap 16 on the board. So that is halfway. And we got some drivers coming to pit road. I think one driver may have just missed pit lane in Eric Sadler. I think he was trying to get down to the commitment line and wasn't able to make it. We got a bunch coming down pit road here. Cat Batson going to be the first of those drivers coming in. We got a spinner on the front straightaway. That's David Dixon. Flagman does not throw the caution. We stay green. Looks like contact between David Dixon and Nick Gunther. As you can see, all the drivers that hit pit road here. Now, this is interesting because this is just before the completion of lap 15. I'd be a little worried about those drivers. All these other drivers are going to make it to the completion of lap 16. Which should put them right on the mark of making it the rest of the way. Everybody else, they're going to have to save about maybe half a lap to a full lap of fuel. I think we're going to see everybody else that didn't pit that first time, they're going to come down pit road this time, including the race leader. And Autumn Brooks qualified second, so she will have a good pit stall up towards the exit of pit road. Eric Sadler, Michael Turner come in now as well with the top 3. I'll be shocked if we see anybody else go another lap further than this. Should be right on the mark to get us home. Bryce Egan in the 11. He's already pit. He's just about to unlap himself right here, as a matter of fact. Eric Sadler, the pole sitter, with that number 1 pit stall, so Autumn Brooks will have to swing around him. Craig Batson, slow stop. Eli Bright's going to leapfrog him to second. Batson will come out in third. But Autumn Brooks' team will hold serve on pit lane, and she should cycle out as the race leader. Eli Bright will come out in second. Craig Batson third, and Cat Batson is actually going to cycle to the 4th spot now. Up to speed, tires up to temperature, may be able to make a move on her teammate Craig Batson for this 3rd spot heading towards the back straight chicane. Brody Kupski is going to cycle into 5th. Battle is actually on for that spot. Juan Garcia looking to driver's right. Swings wide and has to give up the spot back to Kupski. But we do have to bear in mind the 39, the 41, the 19, the 23 of Daniel Voyles, who I believe is going to cycle to 7th. Those drivers, they all came to pit road at the completion of lap 15. So the question remains, will they be able to make it to the conclusion? Or are they going to find themselves about 1 lap short on fuel? Bryce Egan back on pit road in the 11 car. I believe Bryce Egan actually made a couple of unscheduled pit stops during the course of that first run before the green flag cycle began, and is on pit road for a 3rd time here So he's going to fall off the lead lap. Struggling day there for the all-star car out of Trackhouse Racing. Bryce started this race from the 12th position. Watching the ongoing battle between teammates here. Craig Batson looking for his second win, I should say, of the season. Kat Batson looking for her first, and she's one of few drivers that have run full-time in both seasons of the Duracell Ultra Lite Series. Saw a driver in Nathan Stapleton, who had made every light start, get his first career win a few weeks ago at the Chicago Motor Speedway. Kat Batson would love to snap a winless streak here at the Glen. So Autumn Brooks has had the dominant car of the day, has led every lap so far here this afternoon, including during that cycle of pit stops. Got on pit road first, left still in P1, but now going to have to hold off maybe one of the strongest road course cars of the season in Eli Bright. That last time by, Eli Bright scored 0.4 of a second quicker than Autumn Brooks. The gap between the two just a little under 3 seconds. Both drivers came to pit road on the same lap, completion of lap 16. Should be able to make it on fuel. Now it comes down to who's got the best long run car, who can make lap time. You look at Autumn Brooks, this is her first full-time season in the Lite Series, running full-time in the Cup Series as well in a non-charter capacity. Tomorrow afternoon she'll be making, I believe it's her 14th Cup Series start. And just look at the drivers that she has to lean on in terms of veteran road course experience, both on the Lights and the Cup side. Anthony McCrory, Nick Gunther, Ralph Mason, Sean Galligan, road course aces. And you gotta think Autumn Brooks was a sponge this weekend in preparation for this race, trying to learn all she could, and she has put it to good use here. Has dominated this race after starting the outside of the front row, looking for her first career victory. Checking in on lap times, though, that time by 0.6 of a second quicker was the 20 car. And if he continues to set this pace, he is going to catch up to Autumn before we hit 5 laps to go. Catching the 60, however, is one thing. Passing is another. We saw Craig Batson make a couple of charges up to the back bumper of the Mazda and not be able to do anything with it once he hits a window of a pocket of dirty air. Let's drop back. Looks like Eric Sadler's team didn't quite cycle him out around to where he wanted to be. He is now cycled back to the 8th spot. Just ran his fastest lap of the race, however, that previous lap at a 1:14.833. And look at this wad of race cars just inside, just outside of the top 10. Colin Grace, Ralph Mason. You got Kyle Langland right there. Langland trying to lock himself into the playoffs through points. Another driver looking for his first win on the season. Highest driver in the points without a victory. 4th in overall standings. 39 points out of the points lead. And more importantly, 16 points ahead of that 7th in the standings cut line. Dave Smith, Skylar Taylor, a couple of those drivers that are hovering just below that final wild card spot, which that line would shift if Autumn Brooks were to go to victory lane this afternoon, as she is yet to go to get a checkered flag here in Season 2. Let's see about Cam Wright Jr. and Roberta Crown Jr. Cam Wright Jr. has done a good job today. Slowly, methodically been making forward progress. He started 25th. He was 20th when we checked in on him before the pit stops. They gained another 4 spots on pit road. He is 16th now, so a net gain of 9 positions for Cam Wright Jr. Roberta Crown Jr., on the other hand, started 23rd. When we checked on him, he was 23rd, and after pit stops, he's 22nd, so a net gain of 1 position for the points leader. That did allow Wes McCoy to be able to catch back up. Remember, we saw him and also Cole Coybe and Jackson Haywood, how they had kind of lost touch with anybody they've been able to kind of catch back up here. You had quite a number of former winners this season that are mired back at the very tail end of the pack with everybody still running. Only one driver off the lead lap in Bryce Egan. Wes McCoy's back here. Nathan Stapleton. Cole Coybe also back here. And David Dixon, who, let's get an update on him. Yeah, there he is all by his lonesome. We saw him have the half spin after contact between himself and Nick Gunther. I believe David Dixon was trying to get to pit road and got a bump from behind by the 55. That lost him track position right there, and you can see what it is now translated to after they made the pit stop. So I would feel like I'm justified in saying more than likely David Dixon is going to find himself, unless we have a caution come out and he can make up a ton of ground here in the final 10 laps of this race, he is more than likely going to fall out of the top 7 in the standings and will then fall down maybe into a conversation for a wild card spot going into next week. Which, by the way, next week, cannot wait. Some tweaks have been made, and Hanford Speedway made its debut on the Cup Series schedule last season. We are going to be having a double header there next week. Kind of a mini Pocono, if you will. 3 unique corners, triangular in shape, just a little smaller in configuration. Lights drivers and Cup drivers will both be taking to that racetrack, ready to play a pivotal part into who's going to be in the respective playoff grids for the Lights and the Cup Series. Following week, it'll be just the Cup drivers. They'll be at the world's dirtiest half mile, as they'll be at Bristol Motor Speedway Dirt. And then the regular season finale, doubleheader for both the Lights and the Cup Series drivers to finally figure out who are going to be our championship contenders on both sides of the series, as the drivers will be taking to Auto Club Speedway for what should be an incredible final regular season doubleheader. Well, Eli Bright still appears to have slightly faster lap times than Autumn Brooks. The problem is, right now, I think his priorities have shifted from out of the windshield to the rearview mirror, because Craig Batson has been able to close up on him and now puts the pressure on the Sunny D Toyota for the second spot. And we are pretty certain that the top 3 all can make it on fuel. They all came to pit road at the conclusion of lap 16. The only driver right now, or drivers, that we're a bit concerned about back here would include Brody Kupski, Juan Garcia, Daniel Voiles. I believe Cat Batson as well came to pit road at the conclusion of lap 15. So whether these drivers' 4th place on back can make it on fuel is going to be the big question mark. As projected, they are 1 lap short of the conclusion, but that can actually be saved during the course of this run. Surprising for Autumn Brooks if you kind of look at her stats coming into this race. Everybody inside of the top 10 in the point standings, Autumn 11th in points, everybody inside the top 10 in points have at least 2 top 5 finishes and have at least 5 top 10 finishes. Or correction, 4 top 10 finishes. For Autumn Brooks in 11th in points, she has only 1 top 5 finish and 6 finishes inside of the top 10. As a matter of fact, she has a better average finish than Cody Majorek, who is 10th in points, 4 points ahead of her in the standings, but Majorek has a victory. So that is why Majorek would be ahead. The victory, the 5 extra bonus points, would give him the slight edge. Autumn is 19 points below the 7th in the standings cut line coming into this race too. And with 30 drivers taking the green flag here this afternoon, and a lot of our drivers up there in current playoff positions, like a David Dixon or a Jordan Anderson struggling here today, it's not outside the realm of the possibility that Autumn Brooks not only could put herself in a wild card spot, but mathematically maybe could be up inside the top 7 at the conclusion of this one. But we can't give this win away just yet, As dust kicked up there through the S's, because both Eli Bright and Craig Batson, they are continuing to chip away at Autumn Brooks' lead. That last time by, Eli Bright 0.7 of a second quicker, and Craig Batson right behind him. All three of these drivers confident they can make it on fuel. Maybe that could possibly be a reason why we're seeing Autumn Brooks getting reeled in here too. She could be saving some fuel just in case they're not absolutely certain they can make it to the conclusion. I believe they can. They ran 16 green flag laps there before their pit stop. Right on the halfway point is when they pit, so they should be able to make it the rest of the way, but maybe just for a little extra insurance policy, Autumn Brooks backing the pace down a bit, allowing these two to close up, and then when she feels confident she can make it on fuel, she'll try and pull away. Car coming to pit road back there. That was the 41 of Brody Kupski. He was one of the drivers we pretty much projected could not make it, and he's pitting coming to 6 laps to go. Bryce Egan also on pit lane. This clearly is a scheduled stop for the 41. And now begs the question, with the field a little bit more spread out, does that mean that the fuel window actually extended further than what we saw? I don't see how it would extend for Autumn Brooks because she was out in front the entirety of this race. So if draft comes into saving fuel or anything and she was able to make it 16 laps on a window, I don't see how the field spreading out is going to change the fuel numbers for her. Same for Eli Bright, same for Craig Batson. But we'll have to wait and see here. Does everybody indeed still have to come to pit road at least one more time? Top 3 bypass pit road. We'll watch the top of the hill there, see if anybody else dives onto pit lane. Remember, Brody Kupski was one of those drivers we projected would be about a lap short. Doesn't look like anybody else coming down from those others that we have on that list. Daniel Voiles, we don't believe, is on the number to be able to make it. He'd be about a lap short. Cap Batson has drifted back here now to Michael Turner. Ralph Mason's moved his way up as more dust kicked up there through the S's. Drivers with some off-track excursions, maybe getting the right side tires just past the rumble strip and into the grass. There's no absolute set track boundaries here. You just can't cut the course. That last time by, Autumn Brooks was a 10th quicker than Eli Bright, 2/10 quicker than Craig Batson. So this may be the point now where Autumn Brooks is saying, all right, I've got enough fuel in the tank. Now I'm going for it. Has dominated this race since the drop of the green flag. Swung around the outside of pole sitter Eric Sadler to take the lead. Pit crew has been stellar on pit road, and Autumn Brooks has done a great job of hitting her marks. Three car lengths now back to Eli Bright, and another car length and a half back to Craig Batson. Throw a blanket over the top 3. This is going to be the battle potentially for the win. A Mazda versus a Toyota versus a Ford, a long ways back to Daniel Voiles, who sits in the 4th position, nearly 8.5 seconds from 3rd place back to 4th place. Barring a caution coming out here, which I think could potentially end the race if it happens in the next lap or two. No chance for anybody else to really have a shot at this victory outside of the remote possibility that these top 3 cannot make it on fuel. We'll have to pit, and somebody back there mid-pack might have been able to save enough to get to the conclusion. Eli Bright now on the bumper of Autumn Brooks, looming large. That bright yellow Sunny D Toyota, looking for his first win on the season, looking for a little Sonoma redemption. Question is, he's there, but where does he make a move and when does he make it? He's still got 3 laps to work with here. A lot of passing opportunities. And it takes about 1 minute and 15 seconds to complete a lap here at Watkins Glen. So we're looking at nearly a little under 5 minutes to be able to work with if you're Eli Bright. Clearly has a faster car than Autumn Brooks, but Brooks does have the track position, so she gets to choose the lane that she wants going into these corners. Is going to force Eli Bright to have to do something different. See Eli Bright run about a half groove higher there, try and get some clean air to the nose through the carousel. Utilizes that runoff. Gonna look to the driver's left here, heading into turn 6. Oh, up on the curbing, that's what I was gonna worry about there. That could end up costing him. He had the run, he had to take it somewhere. But now Craig Batson might get him for second place. Eli Bright trying to side draft. Try and swing around the outside here in turn 1, and not quite clear. They're still going to be side by side. Now he clears before they get to the S's, but that lost him some valuable ground. Now with less than 2 to go, does he have enough race car to reel Autumn Brooks back in? This next time by, the white flag will be displayed. Brody Kupski is still the only driver that has come to pit road here, so you'd have to assume they did not get that car full of fuel on the green flag pit stop. It's incredible that we've had 17 previous races, 16 different drivers have gone to victory lane. And our top 2 right now both searching for their first victory of the season to extend that streak to 17 different drivers finding victory circle. Brooks by about 3 car lengths back to Eli Bright. White flag displayed over the hood of her Mazda. Garage 55 is looking for their first win on the season since opening up the team in lights. Eli Bright's going to have an incredible run through the S's down to the bus stop to even have a shot through the carousel, maybe in turn 6. As he has to make up about 3 car lengths, make it 2.5, make it 2. Can he nail the bus stop here is the question. Car length now. Might have had to check up a little bit there on the exit of the bus stop, though. Brooks, little wider entry there through the carousel. Rides that momentum down the straightaway towards 6. Make it 4 car lengths back to Eli Bright now. Just 2 more corners and turn for home. Looking for her first win in the Duracell Ultralight Series. Eli Bright, one last shot there out of 7, couldn't close up, and Autumn Brooks will cross the line, and she will win at Watkins Glen. First career win, potentially, we'll have to wait on it, but potentially may have just locked herself a spot in the playoffs with the checkered flag here this afternoon. Another strong road course showing for Eli Bright, who will bring it home in second, and Craig Batson, who still needs a victory to get into a wild card spot. Ran top 5 all day long and will finish it out in the 3rd position. A couple of Cup regulars, Daniel Voiles and Eric Sadler, are going to complete the top 5. Fords will finish 3rd through 5th. Mazdas in 1st and 6th with Ralph Mason, Eli Bright, the lone Toyota. First Chevrolet won't be till Dave Smith, who will finish in 9th place. With Bryce Egan crossing the line there, that should be the final driver to conclude this race. Let's take a look at the full finishing results as they are indeed official. Autumn Brooks leads all 32 laps here this afternoon, but not before having to hold off some challenges from Craig Batson and Eli Bright in the closing stages. Gave you your top 5, actually gave you your top 6. Cat Batson brings it home in 7th. Michael Turner, Dave Smith, Colin Grace. The rest of your top 10. Colin Grace, with this top 10 run, going to try and close up the gap for the points lead. Cam Wright Jr. had a good long run car, it certainly appears. Started 25th, and after all was said and done, finished in 14th. 11 spots gained during the course of this race. Great run for him, and that will close up the gap between himself and Roberto Crown Jr. for that overall points lead, because guess what? Roberto Crown Jr., you don't see him in the top 28. That's because he finished last car on the lead lap in the 29th spot. That is what? From 14th to 29th, 15 points, which means there'll be 4 points between Roberto Crown Jr. and Cam Wright Jr. going into Hanford next week. And, of course, Colin Grace with the top 10 will close up on the both of them. That wild card spot is going to be very convoluted as well. Cody Majoric, a decent run there in 13th, but some other drivers right around that cut line did not fare nearly as well. And talking about David Dixon finishing down in 27th. Jordan Anderson, I don't think we talked really much about that 89. Good run there for him as he finished in 11th, and he was the 7th position in standings coming into this one. Kyle Langland, where did he ended up finishing? He finished in 12th. So some of these drivers who were very, very close, if they had a bad day here this afternoon of falling out of the top 7, may still keep themselves there. We'll have to see what happens with Autumn Brooks' win, if this moves her into the top 7 or not. Aubrey Powell, where did Aubrey finish? 20th. She was in a wild card spot. Juan Garcia finished in 16th, and he was in a wild card spot, so I don't know. It's really hard to kind of visualize, especially since we've had so many different winners this season, and they're all kind of huddled together in the same spots of the point standings. I don't know exactly who's going to be in the wild card spots when we get to Hanford next week, but can't wait to find out along with the rest of you. But Autumn Brooks becomes the 17th different driver to go to victory lane here in Season 2 of the NNSCRA Duracell Ultra Lite Series, taking the checker flag here at Watkins Glen. She's got a chance for the double, as she's going to be starting top 5 in tomorrow afternoon's Cup Series race here as well. We'll have to see what transpires in that one. Hope you guys enjoyed today's race here, though, from Watkins Glen. If you did, be sure to give this video a like, subscribe to the crew today. We've shown you full feature results. You're now looking at your point stands as a result of today's race. We'll see you guys tomorrow afternoon at 1 for the Duracell Next Gen Cup Series drivers. Cap off this weekend here at Watkins Glen. Next week, we'll see the lights in the Cup Series drivers at Hanford Speedway. But until the next time we see you, I'm Seth Cole, and you've been watching another broadcast courtesy of NNSCRA TV, Offline Racing at its best.
The following has been a presentation of NNSCRA TV for the private use of our audience. Any other use of this telecast or any pictures, descriptions, or accounts of the game without the consent of the NNSCRA is prohibited. NNSCRA would like to thank all of our loyal fans, and we hope you enjoyed today's broadcast.